Hello, welcome to Karma, Destiny and Choice. Today we will be taking up the subject of the magnetic force of karma. I am sure that you will find today's conversation very riveting. Welcome back, Sister Denise. Hello.
Hello, thank you, Magla.
You said something so fascinating in a previous episode in response to one of the questions. You spoke of the magnetic force of karma, and you also spoke of another magnetic force. To most individuals in the world, all they have is the magnetic force of their own karma. So tell us, what do you mean when you say karma is a magnet? I have never heard that expression, ever. And I'm sure no one else has either.
You know, the moon pulls the water on the earth and in that way creates the tides. And though it's far from the earth, so many millions of miles, but its magnetic force will do that. And it doesn't just pull the water of the ocean, it pulls the water in everyone's body, which is also in the same proportion. 70% or so of your body is water, so you are affected by this magnetic pull of the moon. And karma is even more of a magnetic force, and it is really the moment when the karma comes for settlement that is so powerful. I had one very interesting experience that I've hardly ever shared, but I will share with you.
Oh, do tell.
I was minding my own business when I got an internal message that a very rich woman is going to come into your life. That's it. And shortly thereafter, that exactly happened. It seemed that this person owed me a vast sum of money. And it played out. And then when that money was given, the person just went out of my life. Even before I came into spiritual practice, I had a connection with a person which lasted for 5 years and which involved a karmic settlement. And as soon as it was settled, the person moved away from my life. So I've had this sort of thing a few times. Mostly it's other people owe me. And occasionally it's me owing someone. But it happened enough times for me to be able to deduce that there are signs and signals of a karmic account appearing, and then you settle it, and then when the debt is settled, you just part ways. And so I learned through these various experiences that when a karmic account is like so total that there's nothing you can do. If somebody owes you something, you can't refuse, you can't take more, you have to take exactly that amount, and it has to be given, and that's that. Or if you have to give, if somebody has to put you through hardship, you have to just go through that hardship. And so what spiritual practice does is it gives you all the tools you need, but what you need to have is the recognition that, okay, here's that magnetic force of karma coming, and there's a debt about to be settled, and you just have to go through it. And I also came to understand that, historically, this is the time when everybody is paying their debts. And I don't feel that I have really very heavy debts. I feel very fortunate and very easy in everything. I always have very good place to live. I always have my freedom. I always have nice people around me. I always have interesting things to do. I go all over the place. So I have a lot of signs of good karma. But there are times when the heavy karma comes up. You know, a magnet has force, and before it sort of locks onto something, you can feel the energy of that force that grips that piece of metal. And karma is like that. It grips until it's finished, and then it lets go. It's a wonder. And so you have to go through it using your powers, virtues, and allow it to be whatever it is, because you don't know the details of the karma. But the more you know about karma philosophy, the more you know about spiritual practice, and the more you practice it accurately according to the instructions, you get an insight about what's going on, and then you just have to accept and let the process take place, and when it's done, it's done.
So tell us about this living magnet and how the living magnet, capital M, plays out or interfaces with the karmic magnet.
In spiritual practice, what you try to do is to maintain a very strong connection with God, the Supreme Being. And he says, when a karmic account comes up for settlement, you can settle it by suffering, or you can settle it by yoga. And it becomes quite a mysterious subject. Okay, how does one settle something by yoga? And you can think about it for years together and speculate and experiment and try to figure out. But what I feel is that when you have yoga with God, you're accumulating a lot of power, practical applied knowledge, which becomes experience, wisdom, and you get to be able to see the game of settlement of karma quite clearly, so that when it comes up, you position yourself to be able to apply that power of yoga, so that you are not tricked or trapped by the karmic settlement. The trick and the trap is that while you're settling, you also create new karma because you react to the settlement. But if you don't react to the settlement and you have enough power to pay or settle whatever has to be paid, being neutral, doing nothing, saying nothing, just going through it, maintaining your dignity and correct behavior regardless of the behavior of the other, then the karma is only getting settled. No new karma is getting created. So that is the cheapest way to finish it. This magnetic force of God kind of lifts you off from the grip of that karma, so that it lets go sooner, and it can't bring you under its influence to get back into another karmic cycle. And so that means that you become free. The karmic settlement contains a lot of temptations. For example, if someone has to settle karma by providing a lot of money, if you take that money for yourself, you will get caught up again. But if you allow that money to be used for benefit of people in general, you're not taking it personally. It's coming through you, but it's not pulling you into its influence. And I did it like that. There's other karma where people may come into a competitive relationship. They may try to take you under their influence or tempt you or something, but you just have to stay very neutral and just let whatever happens without getting caught in or pulled in or tempted, or if somebody does something very negative, just be neutral about that too, so that you don't respond to it the way that conventional morality suggests that you should, by taking revenge and doing something about it, and you just stay very neutral, very close to God, watch the game playing out, and it finishes. And you can experience the magnetic pull of the karma force. You feel the magnetic pull of your relationship with God, keeping you safe. When it's finished, the force disappears and you remain free. This is the way I handle it.
When a karmic debt comes up for payment, specifically a debt, there is intense pain and suffering, intense feelings involved, and specifically feelings of pain, trauma, hurt, all of those adjectives. How does one deal with that using the power of the magnet, the living magnet, God?
When you're in spiritual practice, you're accumulating power. And also I've had occasion to go through physical illnesses which involved pain and suffering. So I learned through many different ways where pain comes along to handle pain. We call this the power of endurance, the power of tolerance, the power of accommodation, something like this. So I acquired a very high tolerance for pain, whether it's physical or emotional or social, character assassination. You know, every time you take a test, it leaves you with a legacy of an ability to manage that kind of difficulty, so that when it comes along again, you just know, yeah, I just move through this quite well, quite effectively, and it's okay. It becomes like part of life, that when something comes along that has to be settled, pain is involved, lots of difficulty involved, but you just do it, and you get better and better at it. And the more you are with the magnet, the more you are detached from the performance of the settlement of karma, the easier it is to float through. And this has been my experience, that over the years, time to time, something heavy comes up, and every time it comes up and you get through it, you become more skilled, more experienced, more capable. While the karmic account settlement could really undo you, it may attack you, it may give you a hard time for many years, but you get through it and you're still intact at the end of it, and then the next one comes, you know.
How does your relationship with God, the magnet, protect you from the magnetic attraction of your own negative karma? How does that work?
One thing is you have a connection with God. Second is you're a student of the knowledge. And when you study the knowledge, there are instructions for how to live, how to function, how to handle this or that. And if you follow those things, even if the karmic account is doing everything possible to make you not follow those things, we follow them anyway, then the force of that magnet is neutralized. It just can't get at you. You just stay with the supreme magnet, and that magnet is weak in comparison. But if you don't have the supreme magnet, you have no chance.
Sister Denise, you know, in the country from which I come, you pay premiums in order to be insured. Yes. And you have to pay premiums frequently. But if in the event of the insured event occurring, for example, a car accident, theft, etc., the insurance covers you, but not 100%. in the country from which I come, it's called an excess that you still have to pay. Does what you're saying also work like that?
Yes, very much. Your spiritual practice is ensuring you all the time. You're doing the work all the time. You're applying effort, spiritual effort, to develop yourself. This is like paying your premium. And sometimes you'll notice in our conversations off screen that you'll see me doing something and I'll tell you, it's taxes, I'm paying taxes. You remember that?
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like you, it's just an expression, a way of saying that, you know, there are certain things that you have to do which cause you to be in favorable conditions at any time if any difficulty, any disaster may strike. And if you have to pay more than your insurance premium, but you have it, you know, you have a wealth of inner powers and expertise that you can apply to it. You know, you're not going to drain